Hello everyone, this is Mr. Underkoffler. Today we're going to be looking at the guided notes called Rational Numbers, More Practice. Take a look at this with me. When you multiply or divide decimals with fractions or mixed numbers, here's what the advice you should follow. If the fractions would convert to repeating decimals, then you don't want to make them repeating decimals because that would not be helpful. You can't really multiply or divide by a repeating decimal because it goes on forever. So in that case, you're going to have to make sure everything are fractions. Meaning the decimals that you're given in the problems, you're going to have to convert them to fractions. Now, if you're like, how do I know if the fractions would make repeating decimals? Here's what you should underline, perhaps. Fractions with denominators of 3, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, even 15ths. Those types of fractions with those type of denominators are going to create repeating decimals. So if it's over 2, if it's over 4, if it's over 8, if it's over 10, then it's not going to make repeating decimals. But otherwise, it's going to make repeating decimals. So that's when you're going to have to make sure everything is fractions instead. Now, if the fractions would convert to terminating decimals, like if it's over 2, if it's over 4, if it's over 8, if it's over 10, you still might want to make everything become fractions unless the decimals would be really super simple and easy. If you don't remember how to multiply or divide decimals, then maybe you should make everything fractions just in case, to be on the safe side. Now, I gave you guys a paper called Common Fractions Decimal Percent Combinations Everyone Should Know. Hopefully I gave it to you on pink paper. That's what I tend to do each year. This is going to help you to quickly change certain decimals into fractions or certain fractions into decimals if needed. So keep this handy just in case. All right, problem number 1, it's already done for you. The directions say find the value of each expression. If your answer is a fraction or mixed number, write it in simplest form. So as you can see, what I did here, if I can highlight it for you, is I took the decimal and I changed it into its mixed number fraction form. Now, how did I know it was 4/5? Well, it just so happens that 0.8 is right here on that pink paper. And yes, 0.8 is 8/10, but I'm telling you, if you want to make your life simple, you should simplify your fractions immediately before multiplying or dividing. So instead of writing 8/10, I wrote it as its simplest form, 4/5. Now, of course, that's a mixed number. If you're like, why didn't you change the 7/12 to a decimal? Well, because 12ths would make repeating decimals. Remember at the top of the page it said that. All right, from here, 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24. Keep it negative. You must make mixed numbers and proper fractions before you multiply. This was one of those nice problems where the 12 and the 24 are both divisible by 12. So I'm reducing diagonally here. And 12 divided by 24 is 2. Keep it negative. 12 divided by 12 is 1. And then I can very easily multiply. Negative times a negative is a positive. Make it a mixed number. Okay. Now that I did problem number 1, talked it through with you, let's see you guys do number 2 and number 3 on your own. Now you can see these are algebraic expressions. We are going to substitute the n. Oh, spoiler alert. Well, I might as well show it to you. Notice what I did. I made the decimal into its fraction form. So instead of negative 5.25, I made it negative 5 1/4 because sevenths are nasty 6-digit repeating decimals, which would not be a good option for this problem. So instead, I'm converting the decimal into its fraction or mixed number. Okay, you guys take it from there, finish number 2, and then when you get to number 3, try that one on your own. Hit pause on the video now, and then hit play when you're ready to see how you did. Okay, did you already do number 2 and number 3 on your own? Let's see how you did. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21. And yes, 7 and 21 and negative 21, they are both divisible by 7. So reduce whenever you can reduce before multiplying. Here's what you get. 7 divided by 7 is 1. Negative 21 divided by 7 is negative 3. If you like to do the crossing out method instead, fine. Your choice. You'll still get the 1. You'll still get the negative 3. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. 1 times 4 is 4. How many 4s make 15? 3 of them with 3 left over. Keep it negative, and you get negative 3 3/4. Problem number 3. Now this is a creative way of showing a division problem. So I'm not going to actually write it as 9/16 over negative 0.6. I'm going to write this as 9/16 divided by, 16ths. They would make terminating decimals, but they're not very user-friendly. They're like 4-digit terminating decimals. So I would find it much easier to go ahead and change negative 0.6 into negative 6/10, reduce it to negative 3/5. It's much quicker if you reduce it first. All right, from here, I don't have any mixed numbers, so I don't have to make them improper fractions, but I do have division. Division is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. And as I've taught you guys before, I like to keep the negative sign on top instead of on bottom. It just so happens that 9 and 3 are both divisible by 3, giving me 3 up here. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Down here, 3 divided by 1 is 1. Again, if you want to do the crossing out method to show these results, that's fine with me. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, and 16 times 1 is 16. Negative 15/16. Make sure you still have that negative sign throughout your work, because a positive times a negative is a negative. All right, now a reminder, and I already had this on a previous packet of guided notes, but a reminder, when you add decimals, and this also applies to subtraction, forgive me for not putting that there, when you add or subtract decimals to fractions or mixed numbers, here's the advice you should follow. If the fractions would convert to terminating decimals, then just go ahead and make everything decimals, because it's a lot quicker and easier to add decimals together than it is to add fractions together, because when you add or subtract fractions, you got to have common denominators. If the fractions would convert to repeating decimals, not a good idea to try to add or subtract by, because they go on forever. So you're going to have to make everything fractions in that type of situation. All right, now that we've quickly reviewed that, would you please try number 4 on your own? Hit pause the video now, do number 4, and then hit play when you're ready to see how you did. All right, I assume you already did number 4. Let's see how you did. Now, I like to work smarter, not harder. So I noticed some of these were positives, and the original weight here of the dog was obviously also a positive. So I went ahead and added my positive numbers together first. And that's going to look like this. Now, 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. You'd carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Carry that 1. 1 plus 4 plus 2 is 7, and then the 2 here just gets dropped down. You get 27.35. That's the positives. Now, from here, I would go ahead and do the negatives separately, because when you add a negative plus a negative, you're going to add in your head. So let's go ahead and add those negatives together. I'm going to have to put some zeros here. Oh, and I should go ahead and say I am definitely making the fractions become decimals. So forgive me for not mentioning that earlier, but the 4 and 3/4 was 4.75, and the negative 1 7/8 is 1.875. Negative 1/5 is 0.2. Now, obviously they're negatives, but when you add a negative plus a negative, you're going to still add off to the side, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I did have to put some zeros here so I can line up the decimal points nicely. Obviously, the 5 in the thousands is still going to be 5,000 because you're adding into a bunch of zeros. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. Plus 8 is 17. Plus 2 is 19. Carry that 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Now, this is really negative 9 or 3.925. Add that to a positive, you're now going to have to subtract their absolute values. And this is going to involve a little bit of borrowing. Now notice I had to put a 0 here to line up the decimal points. So I borrow, that 5 becomes a 4, the 0 becomes a 10, then I can subtract and get 5 and 2. I need to do some more borrowing since the 3 was smaller than the 9. The 7 would become a 6 and the 3 would become a 13. 13 minus 9 is 4, 6 minus 3 is 3, and 2 minus nothing is 2, giving me 23.425, and that is the final answer. Forgive me for not having it typed up here with the unit of measure, but that is your final answer, 23.425 pounds.